0, 1, 2, 3. Let's get started.
Oh, that's real good.
Why they stopping me?
Hey folks, welcome to the Westbrook Christian Football Show with Coach Steve Smith. I'm Jeff Underwood, and this is the one, the only
Coach Steve Smith.
Steve Smith.
We just want to rock past.
Jerry White, what's up, buddy?
You know, just excited to be doing a real coach's show today. Ain't nothing like a Steve Smith show because you know what happens with Steve Smith on the show? We talk ball.
It's like you're going to say ain't nothing like a party with the Steve Smith party or
Because the
something
Steve
like that.
Smith party don't stop. Coach, welcome.
Hey, glad to be here, man.
How you get Grant Skaggs to watch the show?
I don't know.
Shouldn't he be out running or something?
Hey,
Cutting grass or something?
Grant should be at work.
He'll never be the athlete his brother is. Ever.
He just got real. Coach,
Straight to the heart right
just
there.
right into it. And let's do the same thing. Hey, congratulations. High school football victories are tough to come by, right? They are, especially region victories. So to be able to go on the road to Glencoe to get a big victory, 35-10, congratulations.
I appreciate it. I was really proud of how our guys played. For the opening game of the year, I thought we looked pretty sharp, and Glencoe's got a good football team. That game was a lot closer than the score indicates. We had a couple things that went our way and allowed us to stretch the lead out a little bit. It was 21-10 at halftime, and they got the ball on about our 40-yard line halfway through the third quarter with a chance to make it, a one-score game. So hats off to them for the way that they played. But I was really, really proud of our kids. All three phases, offense, defense, special teams, I thought we played pretty well. And our guys, obviously, like everybody else, we worked hard this summer and through fall camp. And it was good to see them go out there and have some success on the field. And again, being a region game, being a rivalry game with another school here in Etowah County and getting off to a 1-0 start was big for us.
How excited were the kids just to be able to hit somebody in a different helmet? I mean, a full game of playing somebody else.
Yeah, I think, that makes a big difference. Of course, we played Hokes Bluff the week before, just a jamboree. And even though you talk about it being another opponent, being somebody different, it's still, I think in the back of everyone's mind is jamboree. It was kind of more of a controlled scrimmage. Coach Rob and I kind of agreed to not do the live special teams and trying to play, maybe the starters the first half and then start working some other guys in. So, as much as you try as a coach to tell them you're playing against somebody else or keeping score, I do think it is a little bit more impactful when they know it is a game that counts on the record. And our guys, I thought, responded well with that first opportunity to play against somebody in a game that counted on your record and then being on the road and at Glencoe, which is a tough place to play. I was proud that our kids played the way they did.
So you win 35-10, right? I mean, you're proud for the victory. You
Right.
want the W. That's what you want. But as a coach,
Right.
I know as a leader and a pastor and business guy or whatever, there's certain things that I see. Yeah, we got the victory, but I'm really proud of this. Is there one thing that stands out that you go, I'm really proud of this, of what our guys did?
Well, I think offensively we had 6 possessions in the game. I think we scored on 5 of 6, so that was good. We made some plays in the special teams, we were all perfect on our extra points, and then we had a couple. They had a couple of miscues with some snaps on their punt team. That our punt return was able to set us up a good field position. A short field one time on the 2-yard line. But probably the thing that I was most pleased with was how our defense responded. Glencoe tied the game 7-7 early in the second quarter, and after that we did a pretty good job of keeping around the end zone the rest of the way. And Coach Lowe, he was the defensive coordinator prior to my arrival. Then last year he was back coaching outside linebackers, did special teams, and then back in the defensive coordinator's role this year. And he, along with our linebackers coach Wayne Lee and our D-line coach Adam Brown, I thought they did a wonderful job of getting our guys prepared for something. Glencoe runs a straight tee and kind of a 2 tight end ball control. You don't see it a whole lot, and so I thought they did a really good job of getting our guys in position with our game plan on the defensive side, and then We had to tweak a couple things at halftime. I thought they made some really good adjustments. And of the three phases of the game, I guess the one that probably caught my eye more would have been the defensive performance. After Glencoe scored that touchdown and tied up at 7, I thought we were really solid on that side of the ball.
Awesome.
Well, playing Glencoe, and anytime you go against a Coach Martin team, they're going to be fundamentally sound,
Right.
and they're going to play what I call Steve Smith type football, right? You're about fundamentals. You're about the little things. That's what you preach, and that's kind of what how Coach Martin coaches his kids as well.
It is, and the teams that he coaches are going to be hard nosed and physical. They're not running the quote ugly eagle offense they were running last year, but similar to that in the sense of what the base plays were, the trap and the kick out and the power. They run similar type plays, and obviously their ammo is to try to control time of possession and shorten the game, and they did a great job of that. I think, like he and I were kind of talking about it Monday night when we played, or Tuesday night when we played a junior high game. I think we both had 3 possessions each half. So, sometimes you look at your possession log after a game and you might have had 12 possessions, 13 possessions. I think both of us had 6 offensive possessions, not counting the kneel down or something like that. So his game plan was really good as far as them controlling the time of possession and controlling and shortening the game. Again, offensively, we were very efficient in scoring on 5 out of 6, but their coaching staff, they got some great coaches on that staff at Glencoe as well, and a couple of those guys, actually played for me at Piedmont, and I'm very proud to see them doing well. You love to compete against other teams, but sometimes you don't like competing against people that you're close to, and so I was kind of glad to get that one out of the way with some of those guys that he's got with him, people that I consider close friends and former players.
And a heck of a coach.
Yeah.
I mean, Bailey. Just talk about Bailey is. The sky's the limit as far as where he can take his coaching career,
Right.
in my opinion.
Yeah, and they got another guy on their staff, Dylan Terry. That's their baseball coach.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Dylan also played for me, and think very highly of him as well. And then just knowing some of the other guys on staff for many years, just a lot of respect for them as well. And it's fun to play those types of games, and sometimes you're just glad to get those behind you.
Were there any? You go into halftime. I think you're 21-10, right, at halftime. So you go in. You got a pretty good game plan going. Things just seem to be operating right. But talk about adjustments. Obviously, as a coach, that's something that you've really got to keep an eye on. You got great coaches around you. Obviously, that's why you are as successful as you are. You're a great coach, but you hire great coaches. What are some adjustments that you went in at halftime and said, okay, we've got to fix this right here?
Right. On the offensive side, Mark Sanders is our line coach. Rob McHugh coaches our receivers. And then I've got Kurt Durier and Chad Phillips that are kind of just multifaceted guys that help us with everything. My son Sean, he's up in the box with us on Friday nights, and so we have offensively, we have a little staff meeting every Friday afternoon, kind of things that we're looking for from the box. I don't wear a headset, but there are things that's on the checklist that I ask them to look for, and they helped me out with a couple of good calls there in the second half. Hey, remember the things that we talked about that we wanted to do. We had a swing pass there that Sean reminded me of. He said, Dad, we talked about that all week long, and we reran it, and it worked. It scored, and also I'm very fortunate to have those guys that can give me those reminders. Coach Sanders telling me, hey, Coach, that we're having trouble with this guy. What do you think about this? Just having that communication. Coach McHugh, he's really a genius when it comes to football. He's got a little bit of input about every position. He knows a little bit about all of them. So I'm very fortunate to have all those guys helping me. I mentioned the guys on the defensive side. Probably our biggest adjustment were those defensive adjustments there in the second half. Because you go in with a lead and you're going to get the ball coming out to start the second half, my mindset was more, let's continue to move the ball, but we're going to be all right if we don't score much more, as long as we don't let them score. So,
Right.
So more of our emphasis, I guess, was placed on what we needed to do to keep them out of the end zone in the second half. And like I said, those guys on the defensive side that I mentioned earlier, they did a wonderful job of coming up with a plan on how to take away what Glencoe had been hurting us with in the first half and making them do something different. Coaching-wise, we call it making them play left-handed, which that's not always the right thing to say, because Glencoe had a left-handed quarterback that's pretty good the other night. But you want to try to make people beat you with something that's not their best stuff. You want to try to take away what they do the best. And they had hurt us a little bit in the first half with the trap, and I thought the guys did a good job coming up with an adjustment to kind of take away the trap and say, all right, now beat us with something else.
Yeah.
and we were able to keep them pretty contained out on the edges. So good adjustments there at halftime by those guys, and I thought that was the difference in the second half.
Yeah.
So you couldn't find a better offensive line coach than Coach Sanders? I mean, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
Coach Sanders he's a big teddy bear. If there's any, Mark Sanders is one of the best men you'll run into.
Yeah.
He's a great man of God, and he's an outstanding leader of young people. I just tell him every now and then I'd like to see Coach Sanders. Well, I don't know if I would like to. I would prefer he would be a little bit more aggressive, animated. The problem is I don't know if he ever really did get that way. I don't know who could stop him. You know, and I'd have to get some of the other coaches to rein him back.
Keyword some of.
He's a big old dude. I'm not going to get in Coach Sanders' way, but very fortunate to have him. And
you hit him? I mean, what a good dude.
He is a great guy. I will say this, man. Our staff is made up of outstanding men. Yeah, I really appreciate all of them, and I appreciate their loyalty and their commitment to us. You know, it's made me a better person being around those guys. Mm-hmm. They really are. I mean, I've been lucky to have guys like that anywhere I've ever coached, but you know, these guys really keep me on my toes about staying grounded on what we're trying to do and what our big mission and the things that we're trying to accomplish. But outstanding guys to have on staff for sure.
Do you guys do, because a lot of different coaches have different philosophies, do you do team captains? Do you have team captains?
We do.
So Friday night, first game of the year,
right.
How did your captains look, and talk about their performance as leaders?
You know, what I do with that, and the kids that have had me before as a coach, no matter where I've been, I stole a line that Coach Burgess used with us all the time when I was at Jack State, and that was that we're not a democracy, we're a dictatorship. And he was the dictator. And you know, we've kind of laughed about that over the years, but there is one thing that we do that's democratic, and that is I let the locker room vote on permanent team captains. We usually do that first week of fall camp, and I let them vote on permanent team captains, and those guys are our captains for the year. And those 4 guys will go out to midfield each week at the coin toss. Right. We don't rotate it around with an offensive, defensive, special teams player of the week or anything like that. If you're voted a team captain at the beginning, then you represent us at midfield at every coin toss for the year. And so those guys this year for us, we had 2 seniors, Max Legg and Noah Wright. Both of those are defensive guys. Max is a DB, and then Noah is an inside linebacker. They both had big games. You ask how they did. Noah was our actual player of the week this year this week for us against Glencoe. They both had 11 tackles, I think, in the game. Max made a couple of touchdown saving tackles when they had busted through the line. But Noah had 11 tackles, I think it was as well. Had 4 behind the line, 1 quarterback sack. He kind of set the tone on the opening kickoff of the game. He had a big hit, and then he had some big hits on the first couple of drives that Glencoe had. They made a good adjustment second half. They kind of took him out of the equation. They found a way to get a hat on him in the second half, and he had a really big first half for us. And then our other 2 captains are Bo Kilgo on the offensive side. Bo had 2 touchdown receptions. And then Jake Haney, who's our nose guard, was our other captain, and Jake did a good job. All those fullback traps and all the things that was going on in the interior, he did a good job with the rest of our defensive front of, holding their ground.
Right.
He had 4 or 5 tackles in the game, but Jake's one of those people that the other team has to account for because he's very quick off the ball, and a lot of times he'll draw a double team block, and also, I thought our captains, they played like captains should.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good.
Did you notice the comment by Wade Skaggs' brother?
What did Mr. Skaggs' brother
Wade
say?
Skaggs' brother says, I'm hoping my phone doesn't ring on Thursdays from 10 to 11 because I'm tuning into the Steve Smith Show. Got to give Grant a bunch of hats.
You mean Donna's son?
Donna's son, yeah. That's where we're going. Or Donna's nanny. So, hey, let's move into this week. And, again, pretty unusual, I would think, that a team opens up the season with 4 straight region games. Kind of different.
Right.
A lot of pressure in that.
Yeah, you don't have time for a slip-up, that's for sure. And, we talked about, I think, the byproduct of the 9-team region is, you got to devote 9. Every team has off week 5, and then the other 9 weeks, 1 through 10, you're going to play 8 of those 9, and you'll be the oddball off team.
Right.
We're the oddball off team, I think, week 7. So, 2 things that have happening for us this year, playing a region game week 1 last week at Glencoe, and then playing a region game week 10 at Welborn.
Yeah.
Most schools in the state, if they're in a standard 8-team region, they're playing a non-region game week 1 and a non-region game week 10 along with week 5. But ours is a little bit different, and again, another reason that I wanted to play a jamboree week 0 to kind of have a warm-up test, if you want to call it that, before you get into games that are affecting playoff possibilities. And with our region this year, I would think probably just on paper that Piedmont's probably the team that most people would think the team to beat. Locust Fork's right up there with them, with the quarterback they have supposed to be a really, really good player. I've yet to see him in person, but I've heard a lot of good things about him. And then you got everybody else. The other 7 of us, I think, are all in contention. And I'm not saying that the other 7 of us might not be at the top when it all comes out, but just going into the season, I think if you get a preseason straw poll, that most of the coaches would probably pick Piedmont as the team to beat. And then after that, between the rest of the 7 of us, I think it's one of those situations where any week anybody can beat anybody, and who knows? I mean, Locust Fork was in a 2-score game, I think, last week with Ohatchee. Ohatchee, beat us last year, beat Piedmont last year. I mean, it's just one of those things to where I don't know that you can really say this team is a playoff team, this team's not a playoff team. I think anybody in this region can beat anybody on a given Friday night. And, we got a Sachs team coming in Friday night to our place that, on paper, they're 0-2 to start the year, but they were 13-13 last week at halftime with Piedmont. They actually had a 13-7 lead. The Piedmont scored a tie before halftime, and I saw tremendous strides. I told Coach Freeney I actually saw them in person last year when they opened up with Ohatchee, and that was their first game, I think, last year. But from that point to this point of this year, it's daylight and dark. It's 2 totally different teams at Sachs, and he's done a wonderful job there of getting those players to buy into what he and his staff are trying to teach them. And I was very impressed with them on film, and they may be the most athletically gifted team in the region. I mean, you see them run. They've got speed all over the field at every position, and they got 4 or 5 guys that's capable of going 80 yards at any time they touch the ball. So he's got some good things going there at Sachs, and I look for them to be somebody that's going to have a lot to say with, who makes the playoffs in this region, and they're not going to be a game that anybody's going to be looking forward to playing. They've got the talent to beat anybody on a given night.
1-9 last year, but like you said, I watched about 4 or 5 quarters total of them so far this year, and much improved.
Yes.
Much improved from a fundamental standpoint. But let's talk about how it seems like they're building confidence every week, regardless of the score. The team seems to be, Sachs, seems to be building confidence.
Well, you can just tell from the way they played these first 2 games. They're nothing like the team that I saw at the beginning of the year last year. We went and watched them in person at Ohatchee, because we had played Ohatchee the next week. We were off week 1 last year after we played a game week 0. And the Sachs team that I saw last year at Ohatchee is nothing comparable to what I'm seeing right now on film and what they put on the field last week. And that's just that's a tribute to Coach Freeney and his staff and those players for getting everybody on the same page and buying into what he's trying to do. And they're a player 2 away from being 2-0. They're 0-2, but they're just a player 2 away each game from being 2-0. So those games could have easily gone the other way. And I'm sure as they get more experience and get more confidence, those close games will start going their way.
My son plays baseball, and we played them last year, and it was a train wreck as far as the score. We blasted them. But I was telling Jerry when I came home that night, I said, dude, their speed. They would steal bases on them. They'd get a walk. That's it. But the speed was incredible. And they didn't know how to read the pitcher or any of that kind of stuff. They just would steal a base on sheer speed. So if they're doing that on a 90-feet base pad, I can't imagine what some of these kids, I know one of them, one of the starting running backs that played, I think he's a center fielder, lightning.
Yeah, they've been explosive on film, and they, they'll run several different packages. They'll run the football effectively, and then they got a quarterback that can throw it. They got 4 wides that can all go get it. Then they'll wildcat and direct snap it to number 3 or number 13 or whoever it might be. And like I said, they've got a number of people on their roster that when they get the ball in their hands, they're a threat to go the distance. And our big objective this week as a defense is getting them on the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about this, that, and other. Everybody's got to do their job. We got to be in position. We got to get them on the ground.
So you go from a team like Glencoe, and you're going to a team like Sac, different teams.
Well, Glencoe, you're worried about controlling between the hashes.
Right.
Because Glencoe's not making any bones about it. They're going to run the ball between the hashes. The clock's going to be running. You got everybody kind of compacted down. Everybody wants to call it the box, but everybody's kind of in the box, and you're playing in a phone booth. I would love to play Sacs in a phone booth. The only problem is Sacs is going to make you defend 53 1/3 wide. They're going to be making you defend sideline to sideline, and they do a lot of things where they're running jet motion, speed sweep, and it's one thing to run speed sweep when you got speed, and they do. Some of us a lot of times will try to run speed sweep, and it ain't real fast. So
we just call that sweep.
Sweep.
That's what we just call it, sweep. But they do a really good job of getting sideline to sideline threats and making you have to defend the whole width of the field, and that's difficult. That's difficult for anybody, but it's difficult for teams that are used to playing in that box between the hashes. So they do a really good job there of trying to thin you out.
That's got to be difficult in a game plan, going from one, this is what we're coaching for this game, and then you got 4 days to get them totally in a different frame of mind to get on this field and do something totally different.
That's what Coach and I were talking about. Coach Lowe and I, as we were talking, I give him a hard time. I just tell him, I tell him every week, I say, if you can figure out a way to shut him out, I think we'll be all right, But I said that to him this week. He didn't laugh,
He didn't think it was fun.
But that's always the goal. That's what we will preach to our kids. Our goal is not let the other team score, but just from a philosophical standpoint, they throw the ball. They use the width of the field. Last week against Glencoe, we had a mixer package in there where we brought in an extra D lineman and took out a secondary player. Which is kind of unusual for us. We very seldom do stuff like that. But this week you're probably going to see an extra secondary player back in there for us just because of the threat of them throwing the ball vertically down the field and then spreading out the field the way that they do.
What's the over and under on the amount of times we're going to hear during this game, contain from your defensive coaches?
If they snap it 50 times, the over and under probably needs to be 50.
Hey, so let's move on to Westbrook.
Yes.
You love coaching quarterbacks, right? You've always been that guy. You have a passion for it. Let's talk about the progression that you want to see from your quarterback from week 1 to week 2.
Yeah, I love coaching quarterbacks. I don't know that quarterbacks always love me coaching them. I'm kind of hard on them.
That's good.
But the high expectations that you have, that's your field general. That's the guy that you expect to be the leader. And we got 2 young ones on the varsity team, and Brody Blevins and Sam Solly. Both of them very talented. Brody's a 10th grader, Sam's a freshman. They both do a lot of things really, really well. They both have worked tirelessly to improve the areas that they needed to be working on. I would say going into the off season after last football season, if you just evaluate those 2 guys, Brody's a runner that needed to work on his passing, and Sam's a pro-style passer that needed to get faster and work on his running. And in this brief period of time that we got this small sample space, I thought Brody threw the ball really well the other night in the varsity game against Glencoe, and then we turned around and played them in a 7th, 8th, 9th grade game on Tuesday night at our place, and Sam rushed for over 100 yards. So, getting those guys reps and opportunities to improve in the areas that they need to improve in, and at the same time not sacrificing, who you are. Blevins, he's that guy. He's just a physical, hard nose. He carried it 15, 16 times the other night, I think. We threw the ball maybe 18 times. I can't remember exactly what the numbers were off the top of my head, but the ball was in his hands or him delivering it to somebody, probably 65, 70% of the time. And I thought he did a really good job of leading our team. I think he ran for 2 touchdowns and 3 for 3 in the game. So, 5 total touchdowns coming out of that position. Getting the ball to the right people in the right places on the field, and then leading the running game, and then Maximus Jones and Brody Wood, Jerry Zarang, Landon Thrasher were some other guys that carried the ball for us and complimented in the running game. And Brody Johnson, I think, led us with 5 catches. Beckham Hamilton had a couple of big catches for us, extended drives, and Bo caught a couple touchdowns, and
Yeah.
Maximus Jones caught a couple passes. He caught a swing pass for a touchdown. Got good contributions overall from everybody, but anything that we do, obviously, is going to start with quarterback play, and there's a high expectation on those guys to be able to deliver and execute what we're trying to do. They're a big part of what we're going to do, and very proud of both Brody and Sam on how they're progressing.
Sit up straight. The great mayor of Rainbow City and one of the sponsors of the show, Coach, is tuning in.
All right.
Joe Taylor,
Mayor.
Mayor Joe Taylor, good to see you, man.
talk about a coach.
He says enjoy hearing Coach. We do too, man, because we could just throw a question out. It could be a curveball, slider.
He's gonna hit it.
He's going to hit it.
He's gonna hit it.
He's going to talk
That's
about
what he does.
everything. Well, one thing that I'm big on is unity, and that's something you don't see in our society today. But how big of a key is team unity for Coach Steve Smith?
The players would probably tell you they get sick of me talking about it.
Yeah.
But I'm all about the team. As I told you even here before, I've been a part of a team for the last 45 years of my life. I'm a team guy. I believe in the success of all is dependent upon everybody's individual efforts, but the success for all is what we're looking for. So we try to do everything that we do as a team. That doesn't mean everybody always gets treated
Sure.
the same. It's
Sure.
like I told you before, you can't treat everybody the same, but you got to treat everybody fairly. And it's one of those situations to where I think our kids are starting to understand it and understand why we do what we do. I'm still old school. We have a day of the week that the seniors sweep the locker room, the next day the juniors sweep the locker room, the sophomores, and it's just everybody having that responsibility to the team to come walk through our facilities. So we're so thankful for what we have there. I saw the other day our weight room was featured in a national strength and conditioning magazine. It was like the feature weight room. Coach Phillips, our strength coach, does a wonderful job. And I want our kids to understand that what we have that's not common.
Yeah.
It's a really, really nice place, and we're thankful for all the ones, the contributing hands that have had a part in what we have at Westbrook, and we want to teach those kids to be thankful for it, take care of it, and that all goes along in that line that we're talking about with unity as far as how we work and what we're trying to accomplish. And kids are kids; they still keep up with their mamas and daddies probably still keep up with their stats and their number of tackles and how many touchdowns they scored and all, and that's good things that you have to talk about. The newspaper people have to have some stuff to write articles with and all, but at the end of the day, I just preach to them all the time. It's all about doing our part individually so that the collective group can succeed.
Yeah.
And we everything that I'm trying to do at Westbrook as it pertains to football is involving everybody together. I was just in a meeting this morning with our band director and our cheer sponsors, the people that run the video board and the press box, just things that we're trying to do to build a community-based product that everybody's going to be proud of. And we have tremendous support at Westbrook. I looked up in the stands the other night at Glencoe, and we had the visitor side full.
Heck yeah.
And that's just, it's not common at a private school. Most of the time you got just a handful of people, but we've actually got the city of Rainbow City and a lot of those parents and grandparents that are out there supporting our school, and we're very appreciative of that. So just trying to build a product that the city can be proud of, the community can be proud of, the school can be proud of. That's our main goal.
He said, you said a minute ago, you're old school. You played for Coach Burgess, right?
Right.
So I've heard stories over the years about him at JSU. He said he didn't know if he could do it or not, but he would cancel homecoming if they is that how old school Steve Smith is?
I'm not answering that question.
Did he threaten that when you were there?
I've heard Coach Burgess say some things that probably I can't say now, but the point I think that he was trying to emphasize, and I think what people, if they can see through all the other stuff, what we're trying to emphasize is, football is important.
Yeah.
It's an important. He wanted us to feel like we were special. We weren't better than anybody else just because we played, but we were also putting in some time and some work that others weren't willing to do.
Right.
And I want these kids at Westbrook to know that it's special to be a football player, and it's special to be part of the football team.
Yeah.
And if all we did was run out on Friday nights, we'd have twice as many players. Because I don't think there's a guy out there that don't like that atmosphere of running out there on Friday nights and playing the game. But I want these guys to know that they're special in the sense that they're giving up 3 hours, 3.5 hours every day to prepare for those 10 opportunities on Friday nights to get under the lights and to not take it for granted and not take those opportunities for granted. And it's special to be a Westbrook football player.
Yeah.
And that's, that's a big goal of ours, is to understand that being a Westbrook football player means something.
Yep, absolutely.
See a comment here from the Coops, the defense coordinator, Teddy Whitmire, said, I just seen Coach, talk to him for a little bit, a lot of respect. Best wishes this year, Coach.
A mutual respect there. Teddy, I've known him for a long time. I know what kind of person he is, and I know he's doing a really good job there for them. Huge win they had last week for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, let's talk a little bit non-football, really. Let's talk the impact, and we really haven't talked about it yet, with the ranch and Westbrook.
No.
You talk about a special ministry.
It is.
Just your perspective on it, being your second year into that.
Yeah, just, those kids, first of all, I try to view everybody as a human being.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Sure.
and inevitably there's going to be some separation at Westbrook, where these are ranch kids or these are not. Sure. I don't view things that way. I view them all as kids, and
Absolutely.
I view them all as part of our team. But I really have gotten a lot out of getting to work with those guys that may be coming from the ranch, because they may not always come from the best situations, best opportunities.
Sure.
And I've got much respect for those people that are trying to raise them in a home and a family type of environment. I feel like my relationship with those ranch parents has really grown over the last year. Just getting to know them better and see things from their perspective. Yeah. And then having those kids in the locker room with us every day. So many of those guys are pleasers, man. They want to come out there and give you their best effort. They want to be viewed just like everybody else. Yeah. And I'm holding them to the same standards as everybody else, and for them to come out there and be part of the team. A lot of them have a lot of potential to be really good players down the road. But you got understanding their circumstances and understanding, sure. The chance that they might be here today and gone tomorrow. That makes it a little bit different than your normal student. But just trying to treat those guys with the same kind of expectations, the same kind of love for them as a person, trying to guide them just like we do everyone else to making good decisions and doing their part to contribute to the team. The ranch is a special place, and like I said, a ton of respect for those folks that are, taking their personal lives to invest into others to try to make a better way. The motto of the ranch, looking for a second chance, all needs a chance, and just a lot of respect for those folks that are doing that, and the kids from the ranch that are there every day, doing their part to be part of the team and contributing in a positive manner. It's been a joy.
I saw a kid. We had several in the church that I was at years and years ago. The ranch, several houses came to our church, and saw a kid that came in. When he first came in, he was the most shy and petrified of anybody. Little fella, played football. You remember who he is, Jerry. Played football, and he was there for 3 years. And the kid that came in 10th grade was not the kid that graduated from there. He had confidence. He still lives around here, has a great job, family, and that's been 20 years ago. And just to see the impact that those families, you have business people, very successful business people quit their careers to become house parents because it's a call on them. Right. And you're right. They're special people, and those kids, you have an opportunity to turn them into boys into men, and girls into women at the ranch out in St. Clair County. And it's just a beautiful thing. And I'm so thankful for John Kroll and Brody and Noel Weiss. He worked there for many. Even Noel.
Not Noel.
That you talking about a guy. He dropped everything and went and just put it on hold and did that for years, and now he's.
And the ranch survived.
That's probably the most extraordinary thing to me. There was it was not burned to the ground, but it's great. Westbrook does what a vision. You got to be just a called individual by God to have that vision and then put it together. And God prepared John Kroll a long time and put him in the right place with the right people at the right time to orchestrate this whole thing. And I'm just glad to see it coming to fruition in a big way like it is now.
I agree.
It's awesome.
It's really good.
Yeah, it is. J.W. White, bring it home, son.
Well, Coach, we look forward to this every week, and we love talking victory. So let's go get another one, would you?
Yeah, it's a lot more fun to talk on Thursday after a win for sure.
It really is. It's something to look
makes the
forward
whole
to.
week better.
No doubt. We'd be remiss. We didn't talk about Alabama football while you're here.
Oh, come on.
Didn't get to see. I mean, you got to see a lot, but against a lesser opponent. But I would think it pretty much went like it should have went, right?
Well, I was very impressed with them. I thought they were very sharp in every aspect of the game. I think the defense looked really good. Offensively, they had a lot of big plays, and you got what you expected out of the quarterback position and kicking game. I mean, they were solid everywhere. I mean, I thought it was a really good opening win for them in all three phases.
How would you like to have that 17-year-old being a wide receiver for you?
That kid.
He should be a senior.
People don't understand he should be a senior at Saraland this year. But, when I saw him 2 years ago as a sophomore when they played Mountain Brook in the championship game, and I want to say he had 4 or 5 touchdowns that year. He was just playing, and that was a very solid Mountain Brook team.
Sure was.
He was just playing at a different speed than everybody else on the field. And then when you watch them in Clay last year with Mbakwe or whatever his name, they were Alabama got two stars there, with those guys. But Williams didn't waste any time making his presence known there in Bryant Denny for sure.
Co-freshman of the week for the SEC.
Who was the other one?
I don't know. I don't even know.
Somebody was a better freshman than
He's
him?
the co-freshman of the week, but he started his own podcast, by the way.
Ron Williams did?
Yes, him and is it the kid from Michigan, the DB, are from?
the really good.
Yeah, I think those two. It may be another guy, but they started a podcast, and it's pretty interesting. They dropped their first. Yeah, you need to listen to it.
Hey, Coach, Cody Lasser says bring back the mullet.
Who's that?
Cody, bring back the mullet.
I don't know. I'm not sure if the mullet would put me within dress code at Westbrook.
But it looked good under that hat on Friday night, son.
Did the wind be blowing?
Man, just got the mane just.
I think I'd have to get clearance from the administration if that happened.
I think with the amount of victories and enthusiasm that comes with that mullet, I think they make an exception.
I think the student body should wear faux mullets. Go buy the wigs, and we had the student section should be mulleted out. That's what I'm calling it. Mullet out the sideline.
This Friday night, Westbrook is hosting Saks, so get there early, bring tailgate, whatever you got to do.
Get Rowdy Christians.
Get that Steve Smith special at the concession stand, nachos with jalapenos and a Lars Diet Coke. Go see them. It's going to be a great, great night. Coach, thank you as always, my friend.